that?
It's going to be. I'm not ready. Just a second.
Sean's
It's going.
got to
Oh,
be
is that-
back.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming to Caria. This is our group, Central Alberta Real Estate Investors Association. Just a couple things I want to mention here. Most of you do know, and I think Cam might know as well, that there's washroom keys up by the front. You just take the key and the washroom is at the end of the cafeteria there. So that's housekeeping. Forms are with Tim, so if any of you haven't signed a form, just go up to Tim and sign one of the liability waivers, which kind of illustrate what we have on this slide here. So the Central Alberta Real Estate Investors Association hosts coaching sessions, presentations, workshops, and is not a substitute for professional advice, such as from any lawyer, mortgage professional, contractor, real estate agent, or any real estate supporting profession. All of this that we have to offer you is learned material that many of us have learned through other coaches and seminars and formal educational groups and resources, and can be subject to matters of opinion. Any attendee that attends any of the meetings, presentations, events, and any Caria member has full intent from releasing from liability any loss due to users' reliance on any information obtained by Caria. We do not guarantee the outcomes for any investor utilizing the information we have to provide and present due to the actions and diligence by the investor and uncontrollable circumstances such as economic factors, unforeseeable discoveries, even after professional diligence. So I guess I'll introduce who I am to the group. I'm Cindy Dooley. I'm one of the directors for Caria. There's 5 others of us, which I'll introduce in a bit here. Just bring that slide up for now. I guess Danelle Cole is one of our directors as well. She's with the Place to Mortgage. And Gail Chapiel, she's one of our newer directors for this 2019-2020 year. Tim Berry as well. Keith Westfall, David Bailey, and Matthew Laverne. And I guess I'll just put that here. So, maybe I'll just start out with who I am. I started this group in 2013 with Michelle Koster. We started it as a little local networking event for local people instead of having to go to Edmonton or Calgary, which took a lot of time and travel to connect with others. So we started a local event here to, for investors to get together. I personally, we've grown the group to what it is now, which is a number of members online. And I've started out with no properties. And working with a lot of people and networking has encouraged me to grow myself and grow my portfolio. And if I didn't know what I knew, then I wouldn't have what I have, which is managing 6 properties, or 6 units, and I own 4 of them. One of them, which is a joint venture. I'm a realtor with Realty Executives, and just here to provide guidance, information, along with everyone else in the group. I guess I'll just start out with maybe some people to introduce themselves and maybe tell us a little bit about your story if you have a little bit more experience, who you are, what you're looking for, what you have going, just to kind of let people know what you have to offer and tell them about your story. So maybe Danelle, you can start.
Sure. Yes, my name is Danelle Cole, and I've been doing real estate investing since I was 18 years old. I've experimented with a lot of different strategies. I've tried the fix and flip, the rent to own, built brand new homes as a self-build, pretty much any strategy that you can think of, I have probably tried. And I just love coming to this group and getting to know other like-minded investors that are open and willing to share some of the ideas and some of their successes and some of their struggles. And it's also been just really beneficial for me to determine how I can help my other investors as a mortgage broker myself to the best that I can. So thank you. Maybe we'll go this way and I'll just turn the phone here. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh. My name's Dave Bailey. I'm a retired mechanical engineer after many years in that industry. I've been coming to these meetings, I think this is my 3rd year now.
Great.
I'm trying to learn something about real estate investing. Not very successful at the moment. I have a 1-bedroom unit condo apartment in Edmonton, which was supposedly sold the beginning of August, but the legal people are now fighting between themselves as to whether they're going to close or not. Not a good situation to be in at the moment. Other than that, I'm here to try and pick these good ladies' brains. Thank you.
Yeah, everyone here. Great. Okay, thank you.
My name is Courtney, and I bought my first property in 2004, and I've been buying property ever since. And I do mostly out of Sundre and Arizona, and I have commercial, residential, and vacation rental properties. And I think my biggest struggle is finding a good tenant. It's not easy for residential, so I think that's my biggest struggle. But yeah, I'm here just to learn as much as I can. It's my 2nd year, so just any information I can is good.
Great. Keith. Go ahead, Keith.
I'm Keith Westfall. I got involved, found out this group last year, late in the year, and started coming. I want to do something. I haven't done anything yet, so now it's a learning period, right? To pick information, talk, look, think about it. I've taken a couple different courses that I think is going to help, and it's just a matter of time and getting some things in my personal life sorted out, and then hope to do great things or do something, right? Start late in life. Got to start sometime, right?
Perfect. Okay. Your turn.
Hi everybody, Sean Hippie, investor, mortgage broker. 20 years in the business as an investor. Condos, single families, multifamily. Never done the fix and flip. Lots of my clients have. And work almost exclusively with investors for finding money, harvesting money. You want to invest your own money, help you out there as well. Anything about real estate. Talk about it.
Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Timothy Berry. I'm a member now for 3 years as well. And I am an investor. I've done flips, I've done new builds, I've done rentals or rent to owns. I've also done rented out my own home as a cash flow gain, but I didn't really get the returns that I thought I would. So I actually ended up selling the house. Now I'm raising capital for projects that my joint venture partners and I have going now. So if you happen to have $250,000 or more and you'd like to invest into fourplexes or apartment buildings, I'm the guy. And I'll leave my cards here if you want to talk to me more.
Perfect.
Hello, I'm Terry Chappelle. I've come to this for about 3-4 years. I think real estate is the way to go. Owning fourplexes and condos. Just trying to learn different strategies.
Perfect. And your wife here too.
Well,
Joins along with you. Great.
Hi,
Yourself?
my name is Ikenna. I found out about this group 3 days ago, I think. I do have tenants on the East Coast. I'm from Halifax. I just moved here, so I don't typically know anybody in Red Deer. I'm looking to learn a bit more, and that's why I'm here. I don't want to spend my Saturday doing nothing, so I want to.
Perfect. Well, welcome. Okay. Back to you, Cindy.
Thank you. A little more relaxed sitting down now. Well, thanks everyone. Yeah, as mentioned, we did create the group here to provide knowledge, primarily networking. I think networking is huge. You have to get out of your comfort zone, meet people, meet strangers, especially if you have some limitations when it comes to yourself getting the next property. You never know who you'll meet that you could maybe partner with and be able to help each other acquire that property and have them give you something that you don't have, and likewise in return. So yeah, knowledge, networking, guidance. A few of us in here do have some experience doing active deals with different strategies, dealing with tenants. So maybe I'll talk to you, Courtney, later, because I have all 6 of my doors and they're amazing tenants. And I believe it's, you know, just having the right marketing and having the right interviews and questions. And they're just amazing people that take care of my properties. And I haven't heard from many of them for months at a time. So it can be a really good thing, and especially if you get good tenants, right? This would be a place as well for finding opportunities. I think there's a few of us in here that might have some opportunities, including myself, which we might have at the end of the presentation here to try and present, and people with experience. So this is our agenda for today, mostly about real estate fundamentals for those of us that are kind of looking to get to that next milestone, and real estate basics in general. This is our mission, is to be the premier real estate investing association in Central Alberta with a principal focus on education, networking, and creative opportunities. Our vision is to create financial freedom through real estate investing. So, these are our sponsors so far for the year. There's a few of them. We're working on getting a few more to support us. There's Danelle with A Place to Mortgage, myself with Realty Executives. Is it Dan?
Yes.
Dan with Solomon Financial, and Alex Flirk with Serta Property Inspections, and Matthew Laverne with the Realty Store. He's a property manager, so he's quite available for access for people that have property management questions as well. And there's our board. So we've increased our membership base. I'm gonna move over a bit here. Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah. Danelle's going to speak to this.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to really encourage membership and talk about some of the benefits today. So the first thing that we'll mention is we have a special going on right now for membership here at the beginning of the year. So it's $120 for membership for the entire year. So that gets you all of your meetings. It gets you, of course, a tax deduction. Exclusive Facebook membership. So we have a private Facebook group, and there's all sorts of valuable information on there. We're going to be posting these live videos moving forward on every one of our, on the private group every time we have a meeting. Benefit of that for our members is if you cannot attend one meeting, you can still go back or watch it from wherever you are. And you'll also have access to all of the past videos. So all the pre-recorded videos that we have from the past are all uploaded in that private group, or we're getting close to having them all uploaded now. Cindy's been working very hard on that. Thank you. And so if you are trying to rack your brain about something you learned or something somebody said in one of the past training videos, they will be uploaded in there. So we have had some super, super valuable guest speakers come to our group along the way. Stefan Arnio, an investor out east that does a bunch of training.
Living in Fort Heisler.
Yeah. Who else? I'm trying to think.
Russell Westcott, he's a JV Jedi Joint Ventures and Presentation Specialist.
Who did the rent-own farmer logic?
Johnson. Oh,
Yeah.
Ross Lytle.
Ross Lytle,
Yeah, he's a rent-to-own and coach strategist.
Yeah, so we've had some really valuable speakers along the way and some valuable information that you're going to be able to draw upon if you are a member of that private group. So We're also going to try to keep market updates in there moving forward. So anything about the market and mortgage rates, those types of things, we're going to try to keep in there. Sponsor posts. So any of our sponsors or guest speakers can be putting information in there, whether about its upcoming events, things like that. So you'll get all of that information. Landlording tips, we'll try to be putting in there going forward. We're gonna have contests, exclusive event opportunities, and first chance at real estate opportunities. So anyone in our group, if you come across a real estate opportunity and it's not something that you can act on at the time, but you think it would be great, we encourage you to share that first in our private group. We give that first opportunity to our private group, and then filter it out to the larger non-private Facebook group after that. So the Carry Out Facebook group, just the generic page. But we always try to give first access in the private group. Cindy is amazing at finding fabulous deals that come up, so she is committed to posting in there and sharing. So just a great opportunity if you're looking for some upcoming real estate opportunities. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I should mention. So it's $120 until the end of the month for the annual membership,
Yes.
correct? And then as of October,
100.
oh, it's 100 now. So sorry. You actually get a benefit if you get your membership in before October 1st. You get a discount of $100. So now is the time to do it. We're really trying to push the membership for the year. As of October 1st, it goes up to $120 until January. Okay,
Sorry,
so
that was a discount of $20.
Yeah. Oh, no, it goes up to 100. Sorry, the discount's gone. It goes up to 100 October 1st.
Up to 120.
Did that make sense? You summarized it. Sorry.
No worries at all. So yes, discount is 100 until October 1st, and then it goes up to 120. Spouses are half of that. So if you have a significant other, then it's $50 until October 1st, and then up to $60 after that. So yeah, thank you. And then we are gradually growing our base here, just trying to create an awareness and connection amongst people so that they can help leverage, grow themselves, and network. I strongly believe in networking because you never know who you might meet, and I've met some pretty amazing people that have helped me along my way. So right now, in June, we were at 362 members, now we're 372. On the Facebook public page, we have 158 likes. Right now, and members, we're still working on trying to figure out all our membership base. We've had a couple of hiccups with our email to get some membership payments in, so we're kind of working on that, and we'll update you on the next meeting.
Cindy,
Yes.
how do we ensure, because I'm just sitting here thinking that I'm on the private Facebook page.
We will go through our memberships for all that have paid, probably within the next week here, and invite you
Okay.
to be on that, right?
Okay,
And
'cause I
if
thought it was on something, but I'm not sure that I'm on
on that private page for
I can
members.
touch base with you later today
Yeah.
to make sure you're on there.
the, okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't get that invite, maybe we might have missed you, just poke us and then we'll get you right on there.
Okay.
Okay? So we truly believe the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you'll earn. $100 will get you access to all of our meetings for this year, and we really believe that you'll probably get that $100 worth and then some, especially if it helps you move forward when it comes to getting that next property. So sign up for a membership, come talk to any one of us, myself, Danelle, Tim, Gail, or Keith, or David. So why real estate? I learned a lot about real estate being a vehicle to grow your wealth. A lot of you probably are familiar with all of this, but you can have some control over real estate. Not like stocks, you don't have any control with whether they go up or down. You can force up the value by making any improvements to those properties. You can't with mutual funds, etc., and then paper assets. It's tangible. There's multiple financing options. It's not like you can borrow money to buy stocks or paper assets or commodities. You can pretty much own a $500,000 real estate portfolio, as noted here, for only $100,000, and it's 20% down. You can't do that with stocks. So if the bank asks you for if you ask the bank for $400,000 loan for stocks, while you put $100,000, I don't think they'd give that to you. I've learned about, these two are the biggest things that have really launched myself when I learned about these two items, using other people's money and leverage. Not a lot of people have 20% down to put into a property, especially when I started real estate, all of it went into my business. I didn't have $60,000 to put into a $300,000 property or that credit capability to qualify for a mortgage. So it's pretty amazing when you meet other people and you can work together to leverage each other's assets. And KTMC being knowledge, you can leverage each other's knowledge, time, money, and credit being mortgage ability. I really focus myself on growing my knowledge. Personally, I spent about $50,000 on being able to grow my knowledge through the right courses. So if anyone's wondering about, what are the right courses, whether it's Keyspire, Rich Dad Canada, RAIN, I can help guide you with, my experience with those types of seminars and coaches that are out there, and which ones are probably the better value for your money. And I think a couple of us in there, as you network with them, can tell you a little bit about what they've taken to grow their education. And here it just shows a little graph about how real estate checks all of these boxes off when it comes to being a very valid and stable vehicle for growing your wealth. Leveraging your assets and networking with people that have what you don't have is critical. Real estate market cycles, I'll talk to you about that in a bit, and it's not a break yet. So I'm trying to make this a little bit more active this time around rather than just reading what's on the slide there. So I guess a question I'm going to put out there for you guys is, what do you think real estate can do for you? Why is it that you're investing in real estate? Does anyone want to volunteer? Why is it that you are building a portfolio? What are you hoping to gain from that?
Pension.
A pension?
My
Yeah.
self-made pension, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Not so much.
A monthly income?
Monthly passive income, cash flow, right? So you don't have to work as much to get that, income going to facilitate, a side income to do the extra little things in life, and hopefully build that up as you grow your portfolio. Anything else?
I find I'm tired of working for somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and it's a necessity, we all know that, right? But to replace that, to give me more freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do things I wanna do, to work toward something for me, right? Rather than for my boss's holiday trip, boat, cottage.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're working for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he gives us a little bit to keep us there doing that, and I would like to get under that.
Exactly, yeah, that's my goal as well.
Yeah.
Anything else? I have a few down here.
Legacy.
A legacy, that's one I have, yeah, a legacy for yourself and your family,
For family or even for your community.
yeah.
Just a level of comfort, like you said, there's jobs and you can get laid off, or there's, you don't have enough pension, you just need a level of comfort and quality of life, so to speak.
Exactly, yeah. So I do have the financial freedom aspect of it, wealth, legacy, retirement fund. I mean, personally, I'll tell you, my goal is, I've never imagined 5 years ago that I would have the 6 stores that I do now, and they're 4 properties, 2 of them half duplexes that are suited. And my goal is, in 20 years, I'm gonna pay off those mortgages and probably have $1 million, amongst the 4 properties. If they're about $250,000 each, one of them is a house, that's $300,000. But on average, $250,000 each. Sell them in 20 years, I could have $1 million and just retire off of that. But who knows, if I don't sell them, then I can just live off the passive income for what the mortgages were. So if the mortgages were $1,200 a month on each of them, I'll just have those as monthly income. So you can really live off of as little as 4 doors, and you don't have to be big. So yes, why I chose real estate, great vehicle, that's stable to grow wealth. Historically, it's been sustainable. it tends to grow in time over a long period. So if you are investing and holding properties, don't hold on to it for a short term, like 5 or 10 years. If you plan on selling within 5 to 10 years, you may or may not make some cash. It's unstable in a short term, but over the long term, it does tend to grow. You just have to really study your market cycles. I learned a lot about that through RAIN. You want to sell at the right time and just be knowledgeable, because I'm running into right now a lot of sellers that are feeling like this is the right time to sell, but they're losing $30,000 in value on their property. So you just want to be able to be prepared and project for when you do want to sell, to sell at the right time in the right market. One book that I was going to mention is Secrets of the Canadian Real Estate Cycle by Don Campbell. A great book to read when it comes to educating yourself about that. What else? Real estate investing is not easy. So it's been hard for me. The second year that I started was analysis paralysis. It's so overwhelming with all the information out there. You don't know what you're doing right. People feel that it could be risky, but you mitigate that risk by educating yourself, by connecting with people that know what they're doing and to be able to guide you to make the right decisions. So I'd probably like to bank that most of us will probably have something that's holding us back from securing that next property. So there's a few of us in here that will be able to help break those hurdles when it comes to acquiring that next property, whether it's like fear, guidance, leverage, etc. So we can all help you with that. I guess a question that I do have right now, which might give us some perspective on people's ability within the room and how we might be able to reach out and help each other, is to ask the question, what's stopping you right now from acquiring your next property? Let's start with you.
Biggest struggle right now is time. I feel like I've learned a lot over the years. I have a lot of knowledge, but I do work a full-time job. I have 7 children at home, and I need to start leveraging some of the brilliant minds in this room, I think. People that have time. Yeah.
And that's great, because a lot of us do work full-time jobs, and there's other people in here that might be, in it full-time like myself, finding properties and, putting deals out there for those that don't have much time to be able to hunt for those, Easter eggs and be able to find them themselves, that, connect with people like me or other people in the room like Andrea Workington, who's constantly finding agreement for sale opportunities. So leverage people with time. How about you, David? What's stopping you from getting your next property?
Primarily at the moment, total frustration.
Total
Frustrating.
Frustrating?
What have you?
What's frustrating?
The one property that
not
I
selling.
have is just becoming a millstone round my neck,
Oh no.
and what have you. It's just driving me crazy.
Okay.
We should talk about
In terms of looking at something else, I just don't want to know at the moment.
No. Yeah. And is it because that one's not selling?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple strategies, and I think you did think of a couple already, like the rent-to-own strategy and such, but
maybe we can brainstorm over the break.
for sure, that's what we're here for.
I'm
Okay.
sorry?
Oh, that's what we're here for, is to help kind of figure out what we can do and get you moved past that. Great, Courtney?
For me, my next property is gonna be a personal property for my family, and so for me, it's just finding the right property. So,
Finding one, right,
Yeah.
that's suitable.
Yep.
Utilizing a creative strategy, or just purchasing it out with a mortgage and capital yourself?
just purchasing with the mortgage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Keith?
I think knowledge has been a problem, but working on that.
Yeah.
Right? It takes a while, but you start learning that.
Yeah.
And then I think the fear of the first one, right? Like so many things in life, it's like, oh man. But once you do it once, get out of the way because you're coming through, right? And I think it just have to get past that, right?
Mhm.
I'm hoping anyway, I mean, that's what I'm thinking is part of it, is just, you know, you never think you know enough, and you don't know if you're ready, but you have to take what you know and be ready. If it falls down, it falls down, pick yourself up, start over, right?
Yeah. And you did take a course, right?
Yeah.
And how did you, like, I told you about the Rich Dad Canada, and not many people have taken it, but you felt that it helped you kind of open your mind a little?
It did, right? Like it was, you know, it's a typical, oh, come for a free seminar, and it's only for this much money, you can go. But I took my grandson with me, went to Calgary for 3 days, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was amazing.
It was amazing. Of course, they had an upsale at the end, but.
Well, sure, you know, and all of you do, but that, we didn't take that.
Mhm.
But it was still, and I'm still involved with them, to do a weekly phone call, right? And
Yeah.
so you kind of follow up. But it was just a different thought process.
Different
That's what I-
mindset,
Mindset,
perspective.
right? Rather, and I think most of it is, you know, you come in saying, what can I get out of this for me? And you kind of realize is, what can we do for each other in here? And
Mhm.
what really will make a bigger success, right? And I
Exactly.
think that's what you're trying to say, is we pick the minds, we pick the brains, we share what's good for the group, you know, in kind of a huggy-feely way. I mean, but that's, if it's good for everybody, it's good for everybody. And if you come in thinking, I can take something out of here just for me, maybe not quite so good.
Mhm. Okay. And Sean, do you have a hurdle that's preventing you from moving forward, or are you happy where you are?
My plate's pretty well full right
Is
now, so between all my properties, I got about $60 and only ever sold 3 properties in 20 years, so definitely buy and hold. So I'm more on the pay down the mortgages, get rid of a few to consolidate and have mortgage-free properties, so that's pretty close.
Can I ask you what the biggest thing that helped you really launch yourself into acquiring properties and growing?
I went to a meeting in I think it was a lounge or bar with Arlen Dalton, who you know of, right? So
Yeah.
he was a joint venture guy back in the days of assuming mortgages.
Mhm.
He was still working full-time when I met him. He had $150 already,
Wow.
JV partners, so he buy low cash to mortgage, assume the mortgage, so there's no qualifying or anything. It was easy to get the properties, and
Beautiful.
that was his plan, and 50-50 split, so sold 2 that I bought with him over time for various reasons. And sold 1 other I bought on a JV, and the rest I've kept.
Nice.
So all single families or condos, no suited properties. Didn't have to have suited properties when the price I bought, we still cash flow really good. So
So that's a great example of networking, right? If you wouldn't have met him, who would you be now, right?
yeah, so we bought 5 together in 1 year, and then I bought another one off him later. The rest has been a lot of contacts and rain, or just other people who have properties, so. I'm just trying to remember if I actually ever bought anything off MLS. I may not have over all the years I bought anything off MLS, there are always pocket deals or stuff like that, so.
Sometimes the best deals are not on MLS too, right? Yeah.
You can get good deals on there if you got the right realtor who knows what you're looking for and are willing to make an offer that's right for you and not right for the seller, so.
The right realtor to put it out there pretty quick, because the good ones do get snapped up fast.
If you're ever working with a realtor and the realtor says, I'm not gonna make that low ball offer or whatever, then it's time to get a new realtor.
Yes.
Correct. You're worried about offending the other realtor. But they're supposed to work in your best interest, so if you wanna offer 200 on a 250 listing, they're really, I believe they're obligated to make an offer. If you-
They are.
Yeah, they won't do it, or they'll phone me on realtors, they got a stinky offer, and they know you're not gonna accept it, if I have to tell you what it is or something, so. It never gets to the sellers who may well take a low offer if you're desperate or something, so. Need to get rid of the property, so.
Exactly.
You gotta have the right realtor. That's really important.
And to that point, to elaborate more on the networking too, one of my properties I met through an investor in the room whose wife's coworker's neighbor was going through foreclosure, and that's how I acquired my one we did have duplex in Sylvan Lake was an agreement for sale where I took over his mortgage, and I guess the seller literally called me his savior because he would be facing bankruptcy and foreclosure. So now that property is cash flowing beautifully at about $300 per month. So, you know, networking, getting to know people who know who, and that's how I met Gord Heisler. I mean, way down the line, I met Gord Heisler, and he's one of my best clients right now. So, it can be an amazing thing. How about you, Tim? What's stopping you from getting your next property?
Nothing really. Just time like Danelle and trying to focus myself in a better direction than I have been. Being self-employed is, you have a tendency to kind of wander a bit. Other priorities come and play, and instead of what your main goal is. But other than that, I have nothing holding me back. I've actually met some pretty good people in the last even 6 weeks that have actually taken me in a different direction as to what I was doing. I think the first thing that held me up in the first place was going in directions that other people thought I should go in, and not what I really knew about the real estate game. I think it's pretty important that you need to understand what you got to come up with your goals before you can get into this game. Because if you really allow other people to influence you, you can go in different areas, spend a lot of money in a lot of places where you don't even need to. So you got to understand what you really want to do first.
Exactly.
That'll help you out a lot, and then get in touch with the right people that you need to be in touch with. I don't know about Gail and Terry, but we all started off this at the same time. We got sidetracked with a company from the States. Took a lot of our money, and we weren't too happy about it. We ended up going in different directions. We've all kept in touch because it's kind of a sorority house kind of thing that we're all got hijacked at first, but now we're all starting to lift ourselves from that. And we've gotten some good coaching on the other side. So if you can bypass that first part of it, it really helps you get into the second part.
Perfect. And I guess one thing that you're trying to do right now is network and raise capital.
I'm raising capital.
'Cause you don't have a
crazy
lot
right
for
now.
yourself.
Yeah, we've got some joint venture partners that have come upon some good investment opportunities for fourplexes and hotels, not hotels, sorry, multifamily. And it's a great opportunity for myself to get going on where I wanted to go in the first place, and now it's giving me another opportunity to join venture with other people as well.
Perfect.
So,
Awesome. Okay, Gail and Terry?
Yeah, we're a little bit of everything what people are saying. Strategy is one of them. You have to kind of figure out what your strategy is. So we were kind of playing in different fields for a while, and you kind of have to start to focus in, as Tim was saying, and figure out what real estate strategy is working for you. And then raising capital is always another one, to try and find the right joint venture partners. And you can go through quite a few joint venture partners that you need to align yourself with and figure out if you have the same philosophies. We got a little bit of experience with that too. So yeah, there's different things along the way, but as you keep going and growing, that's the point. Like he says, keep going and do something, because you'll learn something along the way and figure out what you like or what you don't like.
And take action. I mean, that's the
Exactly.
hardest thing. So you want to align yourself with the right people to help you pull that trigger.
Yeah, that's right. You have to. Yeah, you can take a lot of courses, and we have a lot of coaching and courses, but at some point you just have to get on with it. So right now we happen to have a 8-plex under contract, and so we're looking for some investors for that and things like that. Yeah, there's another bunch of hurdles with that, just trying to get all the paperwork lined up and things like that. So.
And from what I think I remember, you mentioned that one of your properties you have as an agreement for sale, or did you mention that?
We've got some
And-
vendor take back on. So.
Vendor take back?
Yeah.
And you did that by just introducing yourself to strangers, literally, and finding out that they had an opportunity, and you managed to move on and acquire yourself
so
something
you do.
very
You just have to
lucrative.
put yourself out there and
Not
you
be
know,
shy.
yeah, pull the trigger, so to speak, and get on with something.
Have that conversation and see where it goes.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And you got yourself a couple properties.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Is it Cam?
No, I thought it was gonna go.
Oh, yeah, there are a couple.
We're all together.
Yeah.
He doesn't say too much.
I think just pulling the trigger is the first one.
Kenna?
You can.
Ikenna?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think My objective primarily is to find creative ways to generate cash flow. I'm
Okay.
able to pull that off on the East Coast, but the agreements are coming to an end and I want to continue doing that here. So primarily that's around, I came across a property owner, he has close to at least 25 different apartment complexes on the East Coast. And he was more than happy to give me access to some of them and I managed them for him, and all the cash flow that came from it, I was
Nice.
keeping it.
Okay.
So unfortunately those leases have come to an end, so I want to find out how I could do the same thing here. And buy property. I don't particularly care to own things long term because I'm not from Canada,
Yeah.
so I'm particularly more interested in cash flow than anything.
Okay. Yeah. We can certainly have a conversation after between anyone in the room and kind of figure that out for you.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And also a way to leverage skills that I have. I'm from a
Yeah.
very software tech background, so I'm very good when it comes to, I've done customer generation, I've done lots of campaigns for getting customers for things, and I feel that there's a way to connect that to real estate. I just don't know how to bridge those two things together.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. All right, we can chat more on that at the end here. I'll just turn us around. Okay. Well, I think that's really great and informative, that people can utilize other people's stories and try and figure out how, they can take someone's situation and make it their own. One thing I did want to mention with Keith Westfall is that fear of getting that next property. I did have one person in the room. I've shown him a number of properties, a few of them that did cash flow, and I guess he was just thinking about them a little too long and they did get picked up. So he was wanting to put an offer on the properties and then they just kind of passed on by. So I came up with a thought like, well, would it help if we joint venture? Because I think one of his things is fear. He has no experience, didn't know how to, move forward with a property management, take on a property as a rental. So I mentioned, what if we team up together? We'll utilize my experience and expertise, and then he used his capital and I put in some as well. Leveraged his mortgage qualifying ability, and now we have some pretty amazing tenants in that property, and that one cash flows, I believe it's $400 per month. That one's $247 per month, but we're also putting away quite a bit of money for our capital reserve to replace some of the items on that building. So once that building's all fixed up, that would cash flow about $600 per month once we fix these things up in the next couple of years. So it'll be quite amazing to have that done, and that one's a pretty good property. So if you have fear, maybe consider doing a joint venture with someone that's more experienced and knowledgeable. Leverage what you have and team up together. So one thing I was going to talk about next, and I'll be brief on this. I was going to make this into a full exercise, but I think it can be explained quite short here. So if you're feeling like it's overwhelming to make yourself a portfolio of properties, some of us having 60 doors plus, I know Gord Heisler has 100 doors plus, Andrea might have 60 doors plus, and I only have 6 doors. But if you start small, think about maybe 3 townhouses. Is that practical? I think it would be for a lot of us. But then you think about, how am I gonna get that down payment for those properties? That's $750,000. Where's that capital? So that's what we're here for, is to try and show you how maybe you can acquire 1 per year, maybe joint venture, and smaller goals, and then create those 3 properties. And with those, you'll need, 20% down. So that's $50,000 per door. So think about joint ventures. Not everyone has this. And then if you acquire these properties, you can think about other strategies to kind of like move on and acquire them yourself. There's other strategies other than joint venture. You could use hard money loans to come up with a down payment. Different types of mortgage, so I'd certainly guide you to either Sean Impey or Danelle to see what kind of creative ways you can get over your hurdles of qualifying for mortgages. They have some different strategies, and I don't know, like other ways of getting mortgages through other people. There's RRSP loans, where people will lend you money out of their RRSPs. You can actually utilize equity out of a house. So I know a few of the older couples in the room that have their mortgages paid down so much that they can borrow against their house and acquire properties when the money in their house isn't doing anything for them. There's agreements for sale out there, so you can get a townhouse and take over someone's mortgage, like I do have with the half duplex in Sylvan Lake. Took over his mortgage and I didn't have to qualify for that and put in $5,000, so not the full 20% down. There's rent to owns. You can put yourself into a position where you are the middleman and you're renting from the owner and then turning around and sub-renting it and maybe gaining on the upside for that when it comes to cash flow. I explained HELOCs there. So a lot of things. There's so much to teach in the world of real estate investing, and we can break things down into little workshops that we'll probably work into in the months coming. So what can a portfolio of 3 townhomes do for you? It can attain you passive income, of course, or active income. I mean, if you want to sell and flip it, or if you want to do buy, renovate, refinance, and rent, you can get some quick cash out of that if you find a fixer-upper. Rent to owns, wholesales, or you can property manage as active income as well on that. Passive income, I've had a couple of opportunities to do Airbnbs. So one being a condo in Sylvan Lake, which I helped an owner turn into an Airbnb, and that was cash flowing really beautiful until he had to sell it due to personal circumstances, and renting it as passive. Their clients don't know a lot about all the inclusive expenses that are involved with a property and the deductions when it comes to deducting them off the gross rents. Some agents or people just think of it as PITI, like insurance, tax, and
Principal,
interest, tax, and insurance, right? So those are the basics, and that could be, but there's so much more when it comes to expenses, like accounting fees, right? You have another property, you treat it like a business, and then you have to pay $300, $400 on accounting, depending on your accountant. Legal fees, if you need to involve a lawyer, any bad debts for unpaid rents, eviction costs, repairs and maintenance. I know a lot of clients that don't even factor this in when I work with them to buy their properties. They don't consider repair and maintenance budgets and project that, and then they feel like they have to pay out of their own pocket. You have to treat this like a business and incorporate that into your budget when you acquire the property. Utilities. Have you, maybe you have your tenants paying the utilities, but what about those months that it's vacant? Who's paying for those? So you have to incorporate that into a budget. Advertising costs, association fees for condos, those can be quite substantial. Trash removal if they're multifamily properties. So gross income minus expenses end up being your net operating income. And after that, for those that are more knowledgeable, you want to really consider a capital cost allowance. Not a lot of people consider this in their budgets when they acquire houses, is the capital cost, and that's pretty much the savings that you're putting aside to make any improvements on the property. So consideration for roofs, windows, new carpets, painting, anything that needs to be fixed in the long term, and create a savings for those, and those are outside of your typical repairs and maintenance, which is a smaller scale. We can elaborate on that more. After that, you get your gross minus your expenses equals your net operating income, and after your net operating income, you get your capital cost allowance deducted from that. That gives you your net operating income. Now I have a full spreadsheet explaining all this and how you can really analyze the property to determine a pretty accurate cash flow for that property. It's very conservative, but it really works to get you that that cash flow going. So from your...
Is that spreadsheet something you can upload to the members page?
I can consider that. Yeah. As a valuable tool for members that come up, I can probably consider putting that property analyzer. It's a very intensive, how do you say, program, and I can probably bring that up at the end.
They might want to contact you for help with it.
I'll have to maybe even create a class to show people how to use that kind of spreadsheet, but it's amazing. So, and then from your net operating income, you minus your debt service, so that's your mortgage, and then you get your annual cash flow before tax. So on 3 townhomes. I did a rough example here. So each one would be about $250,000 with $50,000 each down payment equals $200,000 per mortgage. So once you have those, you deduct all your expenses. Wonder if would you guys find it practical if I break down income and expenses?
Yeah, you wanna do it on the whiteboard?
Okay. This is a simple things that I'll try this on. Maybe I'll pull up my spreadsheet after. Okay. So here you have your purchase price.
Does the projector gonna turn off?
Does it turn on? I think so. I wouldn't know how to boot it back up again.
There.
Okay. 250,000. And then your down payment on that for one townhouse, average purchase price, $250,000. It's $50,000. And mortgage on that would be $200,000. So I'm using interest rate of 3%. It may be plus or minus on that, so you want to consider these into your calculations. For a 30-year amortization, that would equal approximately, I think I calculated this differently. No cash flow. I know annually it's about 10,094, 824.45 per month. And that would be
Put your mortgage payments in it.
sorry?
Put your mortgage payment.
Mortgage payments, yes, 824.45 per month, which is, it's not a whole lot. I mean, you could get rents on this townhouse for about $1,500, which is what I have.
Is this unit a 2 and 2, or 3 and 2? What is it?
Just a single family townhouse,
Yeah, it's 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 bedroom, 2 bath,
3 bedroom.
3 bedroom?
Yeah, just
So you could
come
probably
use a
get
personal
this-
example, sorry?
Yep, that's the only reason I'm asking is how many bedrooms, it
Yeah.
tells you how much you can get for it, right?
Oh, yes, yes, so that's what you'd be looking for is I could go into more details of a property that would, support this model. And yes, a 3-bedroom townhouse would be very considerable. Another one that would support this model is the suited half duplex that was just acquired that one of us purchased, and that makes really good money. $1,600 upstairs and $750 downstairs, and that cost about $243,000. So I'm being conservative. So when it comes to a single family townhouse, 3 bedrooms, and the one I have is about 650 square feet. So it doesn't have to be too big, but it can still generate the income that you need to support the model that I'm illustrating. Does that make it a little more clear? Yeah, okay. So that would be, I don't think this calculation is as accurate, but for this example, I have about 10,000. 9,446 per year. I don't think that adds up because I made a correction and I didn't update both of my sheets, but for example, it could be that much for your mortgage per year. Now, some of the expenses, actually I'll go to income here. So income, I have as I think about $1,300 per month. For mine, I get $1,500 per month. And that's about $18,600 per year. expenses. So these would be negative. And the expenses that I utilized were your vacancy allowance, because you wanna consider for those months that you're transitioning, tenants move out, and you might have I put in a half month in there, for vacancy, so you would deduct $780 from your annual income. So that's for vacancy. And that's at 5%, so that's half a month. And then we have property tax. That's about $18.87 per month. Or per year, sorry. And then insurance. That would be $1,200. And then accounting, I put in high at $600. And repairs at $780 per year. And utilities, if the tenants are paying their own utilities. And that would be just for the vacant months, because someone has to pay for the electricity and gas and city services. So after you take your gross income minus your expenses, you get a net operating income. And I got that at, so income minus expenses equals your NOI. And I got that at 12,603. And I don't know if my calculations are 100% accurate, but I mean, for the model, I think this is pretty realistic with some adjustments. And then you have a capital cost allowance, so you wanna put a budget for that, so that would be minus $1,500 for the year. And then
And what's
that
a
leaves
capital
me-
cost, what is that? The last one you just said?
Capital cost allowance, so
Yeah,
saving.
what is that?
Savings, so let's
New
say you
roof.
buy a property and you're projecting that you need to replace the roof and shingles in the
Okay.
next 10 years.
Good.
So you're budgeting that it could be about $15,000 in 10 years, and you wanna put away a savings for that. So in 10 years, you'll have $15,000. You got that? I'll
I
explain
just wanted
further.
to make sure we understood it.
Yeah.
You're throwing out words that people don't understand sometimes, that's all.
Thank you. Yeah, you definitely feel free to slow me down and ask questions to clarify things, because sometimes I assume people know everything that I know. So for example, if you need to replace the windows and shingles in the next 10 years because you know they're a little bit older, $1,500 per year gives you $15,000 in 10 years, and there you go, you have a budget to replace those items. Then not having that budget, and in about 7 years from now, you're feeling like you have to pay out of your own pocket to replace those items, which you may or may not have. So it's good to consider that in your calculations. So that would be the 1,500. And then you take that and you minus your mortgage. So debt servicing is also known as a mortgage. Debt service is the 10, if you look over here, 10,094.46. So that gives you an annual cash flow. If I go here, 18,600 minus your 12,603 minus your capital cost allowance, and then minus your debt servicing, gives you a cash flow. And that's what you're making as passive income. Pay yourself if you like, or you could just put it away and pretend you don't have it, just so you can have a little nest egg at the end of your goal plan. So cash flow, after all those expenses, is about $1,009 per year. Now, that is only $84 per month. Now, this is a very conservative model. It does show as positive, which is a really good thing, because no one wants to pay negative amounts on their properties.
Question,
Yes,
you gotta take income tax out of that
no, this is all before income tax.
before, so out of that $84 a month, you gotta find
Okay.
probably 30% on tax.
Yes, yeah,
Thank you.
so definitely something to consider. Any income that we do make is taxed, and you have to consider that in your end, and each of
That
our,
depends on a number of other things, but
yeah, and your
30%
personal situation.
is reasonable.
Now, there's certain models that I've learned from other coaches there's one called a 3-tier, where you can really minimize that tax from passive income into active income, and that's a whole nother, I guess, course where you can minimize how much you're being taxed on that passive income and move that money. It's like moving the cheese into another area, and the government can't chase it. So $84 per month. So that doesn't sound like a really amazing deal. There's other, and this is, as I said, very conservative, so.
Sorry, Cindy,
Yes.
did you write down what the principal pay down is a year on that?
That's
You
one of
mentioned
the
briefly.
points that I was going to
Awesome.
talk about, the 3 profit centers on a property, which make this a little bit more attractive. So that's a really good point. So, for example, this is a conservative model. I mean, townhomes can fit this model as well. If you do want to hunt a little bit more for that better property, I know of a couple of half duplexes I personally have. The one that we just acquired was $246,000, and that one as I mentioned, cash flows at $247 per month, and then it will just go up from there as we fix these major items that will need to be fixed in the next 2 years as we save up for those. There was one property that I just sold in Lancaster. It was a legal half-suited duplex as well, making amazing income. I think it's the same $1,600 for the upstairs, including a 2-car double garage, and $1,000 for the basement. That one cash flows about $358 per month. That's after all of our conservative expenses. So, I mean, if you find a property like that, make $358 a month as opposed to your $84 per month, they are out there. So you just have to look for them, find an agent to find a property like that. And there you go, you can start your portfolio and better off than what you have here as a townhouse making minimal income. So this is only one of the profit centers that a property can make for you. And that might seem low, but you also want to consider your principal pay down, as Danelle mentioned. So in year 1, I did the calculation, your principal pay down is approximately $4,188 per year. Your tenants are paying that for you. So in 10 years, that principal pay down is multiplied, and I know it's a little bit different in the mortgage calculation structure, but if you want to project 4188 times 10, that's about 41,000 that they're going to be paying down into your pocket, and then some when you actually do the accurate mortgage calculations. And then some of us might want to consider appreciation. I don't usually utilize appreciation as one of the, because you don't realize that until you sell the property. Some investors use it when they refinance, so if they pay it down enough, they can do an equity draw and pull some of that equity out and even buy another property. So you can utilize that appreciation that way. I consider appreciation over a 10-year average because the market does go up and down, and in 5 years it could be down when you're looking at things. So over 10 years, on a 2% conservative appreciation rate, you're probably making $5,000. What was I going to say? I learned, and this is actually pretty legitimate, that one of the books that I read, Dr. Ruse, he says that every property, on average, around the world, doubles in price every 14 years. So I can see that, especially considering my parents' properties. They had one townhouse that they had in Clearview Meadows here in Red Deer. They bought that one, and we actually found the actual 1-page purchase contract, which is now 7 pages, which is quite amazing to me, that they bought it for $67,000. And I looked at the market stats, and they can sell for about $250,000 to $280,000. So if it doubles every 14 years, they bought that in they sold it in 1982, and now it's worth $250,000 to $280,000. So it's doubled price twice there. Same with the house that they have in Eastview. They bought that one for $80,000 in 1983 after they sold that one, and that one's probably worth about $310,000. So if you hold it for the long term, like that market cycle showed, things can go up and down, but they do trend upwards if you hold on for 20 to 30 years. Average mortgage length is about 20-25 years, maybe 30 years if you want to do your 30-year amortization. But consider that into your long-term plan, that you can bank on appreciation. And then there's the cash flow. So another topic that we can discuss is your return on investment. So that return on investment is your income minus the amount invested. So respectively, your return on what you put into this property, which is, I put in here as 52,000. Yeah, so amount invested. Is 52,125. And I only came up with that number as $50,000 for the down payment, plus your closing costs, coming up to that. So that's the amount that you put into a property to hold it, or to acquire it. Now your return on investment is ROI equals return on investment and that is equal to the amount invested over your income.
The other way around, Cindy.
Income minus, thank you, Sean. Income, yes. Invested. So, your income for your cash flow was about $1,000 per year. So you take 1,000 divided by 52,000, that gives you 1.9% cash flow. That's okay, you might be able to get that in the bank. It's not the greatest for this, property, but that's not the only profit center. When I do this ROI calculation on the appreciation, it's 9.5% you're getting on your dollar. So you don't get that at the banks very much. So as a vehicle, being sustainable real estate, 9.5%, so much more better than what you would make than parking your $52,000 at the bank. And for principal, it's 8% return on investment. So you take your principal paid down for a year, divided by the amount that you invested, is about 8%. So in total, you take your 8% principal, 9.5% appreciation, and 1.9% cash flow, you're getting 9.4% return on your money. And that's, considering appreciation a 10-year. So you don't make that at the banks, and especially if you're doing real estate. If you have a good handle on doing things right and mitigating your risk and increasing your upside there. So now consider long term. So for those of you that are considering a retirement plan, in 20 to 30 years, when the mortgage is paid off, how would that look for you? The mortgage is paid off, now you're making the mortgage payments as income. So average of $800 per month, possibly, I don't know what it would be 10 years from now, but $800 times 3 properties is about $2,400 per month. So that's just extra income. If you feel like you wanna completely retire, gain $5,000 or $8,000 per month, you just have to scale your portfolio up a little bit more from that and hopefully retire with maybe 6 properties to get what you need to retire with. Or you can just sell all the properties. So the 3 townhomes, if you sell that after the mortgages are paid off, you would probably make $750,000. Would that be enough when you're 60, 70 years old to sell those properties and live off $750,000 when you had your customers pay down your mortgage? So liquidate $750, there you go. But I also like to consider, that's not considering the appreciation. If you were to consider the appreciation and they double in price, what does that look like for you? So $750,000 times 2 is 1.4 million. So I think more than that.
1.5.
Sorry?
1.5 million.
1.5 million. Okay, sorry, I can't think in front of people. But yeah, 1.5 million. If they do pull that 14-year average and you sustain, those properties, you don't want to like drag them down and not keep them well, repaired. You want to keep that value in there by sustaining them, right? You can't let them run them into the ground. That you could have 1.5 million. Anywhere's in between that, who knows? That would be a really great income to retire off of. So it can be small. You don't have to be big. And do 3 townhomes seem simple enough for you to acquire? You don't have to start with 3. You can do 1 a year, and all you need is to connect with the right people to get you that 1 per year over the next 3 years, and there you go. You can fit this model into your portfolio, and who knows, you might land one of those Easter eggs of a suited half duplex for $250,000 that make you that $300 to $400 or $500 per month. So it can be simple. It doesn't have to be scary. You just have to align yourself with the right people to guide you and find the right properties, find the right power team, being lawyers, realtors, networking partners. So that's that model. Any questions? No? So this last little bit here, what time is it? Yeah, 3:15, I did schedule a break, and then I'm gonna close this up with some thoughts. Maybe we can enter a break right now unless anyone has any questions. We're good? Okay, let's do the break for now.
Come back in
15 minutes, so
15 minutes, grab some
3:30?
snacks.
Yeah.